he's quite amusing. Right, he just can't take anything he says seriously.
So it's just styles, dude. Styles make fights, and I just sometimes people's styles in here are just like kind of grody to me.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not even talking that much smack. I mean, honestly, it was fun earlier, but then like Aisha trying to fucking like, God, like what? It's like these power trippers, bro.
No, Aisha gets really pedantic, right? She's like, you didn't use the right word. It's like, oh, fuck off. You know exactly what I mean.
Like, does she like just think she's some hot chick or something? Like, what is this? She's just like a model or what?
Full professional or some shit? I don't know.
I mean, she's right. I'm not. Fuck, bro. Like, we couldn't even get past dick talk.
One was on their period today.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, I just like Alvin. I understand your fucking.
And, you know, it's interesting because, like, some days he's, like, perfectly reasonable and you can have, like, a decent conversation with him. But some days he just fucking digs his heels in. He goes, no, I'm going to be a jackass. And it's like, I'm a bigger asshole if I want to be, right? Like, so you come at me like that, like, I'm going to come back even worse. And like that's the thing, right? Like I don't shy away from confrontation. I think it's necessary sometimes.
Yeah, that's why that's exactly right. I don't shy away from confrontation, obviously. That's why I find it laughable when anyone ever says I run or I dodged or anything. I'm like, are you fucking like them's fighting words, dude? It's amazing. I'm just tripped out, dude. These people in here are like sometimes like Alvin, like you said, what I think is going on there is he's just exhibiting exactly what we're talking about. Like, this is why religion's dangerous, because of what you're freaking doing right now, live in real time.
Well, his whole deflection of like, oh, this only happens in third world countries. It's like, well, no, it fucking doesn't. It happens in Georgia. It happens in Missouri. It happens in fucking, Utah. It happens in Texas. Like, it happens in certain parts of California. Like, religion is a weapon that is used to hurt people. It might have been a good idea 1,000 years ago, right? For the sake of building civilization or small communities or whatever. Like, I can concede all that, but it's outweighed its usefulness.
Yep. Entirely. Yeah, it has. And it's just like, how do they not get that? It's like the fact, again, that they've been in multiple rooms, they've heard all the freaking retaliations and refutations of their position, and then they still like try to act like, oh yeah, it brings some extra benefit that can't be reached without the religious part. It's just insane, dude.
Yeah, and in a modern world, we could build clubs and organizations that would fill the void that religion provides to some people, and I do believe that some people absolutely need religion because otherwise they're too awful. They're pieces of shit, and that's the one stick that keeps them in line.
Right. And I'm willing to go there. Like, if we talk with enough people, I mean, I'm just going to hear you out, and I will literally go, okay, you know what? Feels like it's safer for my kids, myself, and the general public if you remain a Muslim. Okay? I gotcha. You need this to rein in your fucking terror of being a douchebag. I gotcha. You'd be touching women. You'd be a drunk, right? You'd have no direction in life. I understand. That's the benefit. Okay, thank you. That's what I keep saying. Like, that's the only benefit. There's nothing else. I don't need to know about it for myself, right? Like, it's just this is for you. It keeps you in your little cage. That's cool.
Yeah, and all the Abrahamic religions are really shitty towards everybody. Some more than others, right? Like, some sects are worse than others. And for the longest time, I was under the impression that, like, it went, Judaism was the most secular, peaceful one, then Christianity, then Islam. But I think it's the other way around. I think Judaism is actually one of the most aggressive and harmful, and then Christianity, then Islam.
What was the order again?
So when I was young, I grew up with a sort of idea that, like, from least harmful to most harmful was Judaism, Christianity, and then Islam. But now I think it's the reverse. I think that Judaism is the most harmful, followed by Christianity, followed by Islam.
I think, yeah, because it sounds like Judaism is the foundation for all three of these fucking cults.
Yeah, and all you have to do is just read the Talmud, and you're like, holy fuck.
Right, and it's funny because these guys want to distance themselves from it all the time. And when they distance themselves from the Talmud, I think it's hilarious because all they're saying is their higher up management who is assessing the religion and what it says and what it means are to be dismissed, are to only be considered opinions of the hierarchy. Like, why would you ever, like, write it off? It's hilarious. It's fucking funny.
Yeah, it would be like Catholics saying, well, we appreciate the Pope, but you shouldn't listen to him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. So what's the point, right? It's like the whole thing, that all it is dodge, deflect, obfuscate, victimize yourself, dodge, obfuscate, repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that all the way up and down.
So wild, man. And what's funny is, like, Io, right? Io bugs the fuck because he's a motivated reasoner, even though he's so smart and he's such a great programmer and he knows so much language and he's, like, so into science. Isn't he Jewish?
Well, not just that, right? Like, if you corner him, he'll use excuses like, well, my great-grandmother suffered in Auschwitz or some shit like that. And it's like, it would be disrespectful for me to not be Jewish. It's like, would it?
Yeah, would it? I mean, I'm not saying, dude, look, no one deserves to be in Auschwitz, right? So, like, that's the bottom line. And no one is ever saying that a human being should have their rights taken away and put in a fucking punishment camp before they're fucking murdered, okay? Yeah. No one's arguing for that, ever, 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 ever. But they just cannot fucking be truthful in the moment. It's fucking insane, dude.
Or genocide and, colonialism are wrong, always, or they're not.
Wait, say it again?
So either genocide and colonialism, they're either right or they're wrong. And I think they're wrong in every case.
Right.
Right. And if they're wrong in every case, then they can never be right.
Right.
It can never be a good idea to genocide another people.
No. And that's what's weird about the whole Israel thing is that, like, I've gone into these rooms where these dudes are yucking it up.
Right. He's two-faced on every issue. On every issue, he's like, well, it's like this. But right. He's two-faced on every issue. On every issue, he's like, well, it's like this. But it's also like the antithesis of this. But it's also, and it's like, God damn it, dude.
Also just a story of the future.
Yeah. It's all made up. So we're mutilating children for a made up story, right? And then that got passed on to the Catholics and some of the Christians, and they were like, "Oh, well, we got to do this too." Right, and then it gets passed on culturally to people like Aisha, where they're like, "What's actually medically convenient?" It's like, okay, well, like, if cutting people's ear off was medically convenient, would we do it, or would we just teach kids how to fucking wash their ears?
Insane, dude.
I like cults, like, for fun. Like Comic-Con, as in, like, we all know that it's not real and that we're here to play makeup and dress up and put on a show and then go back home and, live our lives, without that being the primary focus of our lives. So the thing that scares me is like if I were to participate with the Muslims in doing their game, or certain Christian cults or certain Jewish cults or certain other cults, like, I can still go back to my home, but like, and it's not a primary focus of mine. But the thing that just shocks me is like that they're in denial of what they're doing, and that they think that their all or nothing statements are not opinions and they're facts. And when they say that Muhammad is the last and final prophet, I like to tell them that that's not true. Donald Trump is the last and final and greatest prophet of all time. And then we get full circle into the bullshit. And then we can finally admit that saying one man has some type of divine existence, and that, he's the last and end all be all, the greatest. Peace and blessings be upon. I think it's so interesting how they have to add peace and blessings be upon him, because that's like saying they know deep down in the back of their head that he was a piece of shit and a horrible person. And so they have to add that peace and blessings be upon him, because that like reframes the actual reality of who Muhammad was. So anyways, that's my contribution to your room, honey. I hope you enjoyed it. Honey.
Hello. I'm just kidding, dude. Hey, John, it's funny because you came up last night in your absence. I guess you were in the room earlier and you had left, and they were like talking about, and these were some smart guys, some nice dudes. It was like philosophical minds or something was the room. And it was a bunch of, what they call it, I can't remember, some kind of Muslim where they're like more open-minded and actually intelligent and articulate, and like
about Matthew's.
Yes, dude. Which I like those guys. Actually, they're chill, and I've had a nice conversation with mutual respect. And people are like defending you, dude. Like Cora was defending you. I would have had I decided to speak, but I was watching fights, so I didn't want to be all loud. And I don't know, man. It's like, it's just funny listening to people talk about you in your absence, because I'm always just like, dude, the guy is super sharp. He's just, I have no idea what your angle is.
No, I mean, it wasn't in my absence. I got thrown off the stage after I accused Matthew of being a pedophile, a possible terrorist, etc. And they're like, what was that all about? And then Cora's like, well, he's actually pretty intelligent if you can get him to like stop his craziness.
Right.
And bullshit.
That was the part. I'm like, I don't think the dude's crazy by any means. I mean, we're all crazy. I'm crazy. I use it all the time loosely. When I use the term crazy about myself, it's funny because people will still lash out at me for even using the term crazy. I go, look, I'm just not afraid. I use it loosely because I'm not afraid to fucking just call it, dude. We're all fucking crazy.
Well, when people call me crazy, I just view that as them projecting their inner craziness onto me. And, I'm sitting here
like not okay with just using the term crazy. Like, I'm fucking crazy. Who cares? Next.
They're mostly just calling out the sort of performative aspect of it all, right?
It's not necessarily performative. It's your opinion that it's performative, because if you watch when I watch my own YouTube, I'm laughing because I think I'm funny, and I think I am basically like
performative. Like that's what I'm saying.
But it's more than performative. It's comedy plus truth. So like if you watch,
I agree.
Primetime Stein, when he goes before these city councils and he goes, "My daughter's trans," he does all this bullshit to mock these people. They are 100% worthy of being mocked. And if you don't understand mockery, that's why I say this app is actually a roast app. But what I realized today is it's actually like a dysfunctional Toastmasters. It's like a Toastmasters for crack addicts and like, trash. People who are so disorganized that they don't even know they're at Toastmasters. And they're all just gobbling up and talking over each other in the most insane, ruthless, profane, toxic manner humanly ever conceived. So this app actually is a cult, and chillism is a perfect example of that cult. And chillism is just another word for N-wordism, and that's essentially, as I just described, it's Toastmasters but for the ghetto, or dinner for schmucks, where people like me and you and other, individuals who want to mock these people and turn them into a product because it's our right to be capitalists. That's just what I'm doing. I'm literally turning people in these rooms, these brands, into a product. And I'm about to rebrand. And I think, people actually watch my YouTube lives. Like when I go live, and the coolest thing about it is it's set it and forget it for me, because I can put on Chillism at 10 a.m. and they will go till 10 a.m. the next day without even playing copyrighted music. It's incredible. Like,
But I have to correct you on one thing.
Okay,
Timothy McVeigh was the last prophet.
This is the secret about all of these religions, and I have enough books and, lived experience to know that everyone's debate is a stupid waste of time, because the first Zen poem ever written declares that the more you think, the more you speak, the further from the truth you're going to get. So all of these pontificators and preachers are essentially denying their own, hidden essence. We won't call it divinity, but we will call it a secret mystery. It's a riddle. And not a lot of people can solve this complicated riddle because there's no answer. And it's a silence. And I can hit my Zen bell right now and say, that's the truth of the earth at your birth and your death. The whole thing is essentially people trying to work on their public speaking. And that's why I go back to Toastmasters. I've done Toastmasters, and I've seen some incredible Toastmaster speeches where I almost started crying because they were so sincere, so authentic, so truthful. And, so I laugh because when I hear concrete in Chillism, like that's like, and they're all fighting like, it's my turn, it's my turn, it's my turn to get on the mic. Shut the fuck up, it's my turn, mine. Like, it's, essentially it's people demanding to go up on the stage to do their Toastmaster speech, and they want that rush, so I think I've thoroughly observed it and accurately diagnosed the situation. I hope my information packet transfer was proprietary, informative, and persuasive.
Ding. Hey, John. Can I be heard? John, is that your answer? 0? Okay.
Well, you were in the Matrix for a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew you were speaking. Yeah, we can hear you.
Do this. That's my little bike bell I put on my mountain bike sometimes. Like, as far as ratings on here, who do you think roasts people well, in your opinion? Like, between someone like myself or, like you said, Concrete, or anyone on here? I'm just like, do you have any people that you think are actually decent at it?
Top-notch roasters. I don't know too many roasters on here. Like I did hear Benjamin roast Steve Appel. That was thoroughly enjoyable. Because Steve is so rigid, and so inflexible. Anybody who, let's see, the whole thing deals with the green bean of fascism. Most of these liberal Democrats can't admit that they actually act like fascists, and therefore they are fascists. And everybody technically is the same, meaning that we are a censor. But some people can let it go and say, okay, let's just let it flow and see where this goes. But people want to control the narrative. And, this is an interesting experiment for you. Put in earplugs and use this app. And turn the volume all the way up on your phone. Totally different experience. Because if I do my really obnoxious, horrible, annoying voice, you'll immediately say, okay, enough of this shit. Like, I can't listen to it, So the thing with the earplugs is it diminishes, like, the dopamine response. It's not as strong. And because you got the earplugs in, there's like this buffer between you and that speaker. So, but with regards to your question, I mean, I do love hearing like the reversals on this app, where you get an extreme black female making extreme statements, and then you get the reverse end of that, and then it's always there's just an amazing like Taoistic inversion or inverse that happens here all the time. The opposites meet each other, in surprising ways. And then sometimes you'll hear like I heard a black woman today talking about how this app is all emotional because it's like a spirit app, and your emotional response is real, but it's not like there's real effects in the real world. Like you can't get punched in the nose. You can't go kill that person that, you're screaming against, making death threats. I mean, I heard a young girl, African-American girl here talking to another young African-American girl about how they just killed somebody and her friend was upset how she was eating the body. I was like, what? Talk about performative art. But then you start to think, you know what? Maybe it's not performative art. Maybe there's some truth in what they're saying. So, but the best self-roasters are really if I could open up, John's Hot Chicken Ranch, it would be called self-roasting. So like, I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but I'm totally, fully, 100% in on self-deprecation because, eventually the self-deprecation it's not like self-deprecating. You kind of like reverse it out by going fully in self-deprecating. So it becomes the truth and, art matches reality and then you have synthesis. So anyways, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, self-roasting is fine, and I'm willing to do it. I prefer to just freaking call out the shit in a narrow bandwidth of stuff we're talking about. That's all I'm doing. And
a hypercharged individual. I've heard you talking about Ice and Penny, and like you are so charged that like it makes me think that you still buy all the bullshit. Like the truth is meditation. And I hate to be like a hippie saying you should form your own cult, but like just make it for you, not for other people, because no cult leader wants to have to deal with the incessant complaints that get generated from your cult followers. It's exhausting. Eventually you start a complaint department and you're no longer running a cult. You're just trying to solve people's situations. And so, that's also the thing in these mass cult religions. Like you go to the ceremony, you go to the communion, and you can give money, but you still can't even submit a complaint. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this app is the ultimate solution to all laziness and even nature itself, because nature takes the absolute lowest form of response, meaning like the easiest response is what nature creates. So it's almost like the lowest energy response is the correct response. And so I'm just criticizing you, saying I don't know, I assume you're a Democrat, liberal, etc. But like the truth is you're just on the other end of the spectrum of a Nazi. And so if you're the opposite of a Nazi, you're like a negative Nazi. Like you don't recognize your own fascism and hypocrisy, because if you were in charge, you would reverse the flow of the energy, but then you'd end up victimizing all types of innocent people who thought they were doing the right thing. So the final analysis of this entire, monologue, aka Toastmaster speech, is that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. And when you try to resist that opinion or that concept, you end up hurting yourself, because it's not a conservation of your energy based on wisdom, intelligence, love, law, etc., strength. I mean, honey, let me ask you this. How do you think you exhibit virtue and strength in your life? How do you exhibit wisdom?
How do I exhibit wisdom? I don't necessarily think I do exhibit wisdom.
Well, don't you think that's a pretty important thing to have in your life? Intelligence. Do you think the self alone is an exhibition of wisdom? There's no like other ingredients to put in your soup to prove, that yourself.
No, what I think is, I find, and I've been learning this, I'm actually good at assessing myself and reflection and making sure, or trying to correct myself if I think that I'm doing something wrong in my thinking patterns and stuff like that. So I want to be accurate. I don't need to be right. I'd rather be effective stuff like that.
Okay, so if you took a college course on ethics, morals, and virtues, could you describe to me possibly what the professor of that course would teach, the students in a course about morals, ethics, and virtues? How would they spend their 3 months together, learning morals, ethics, and virtues?
All right. Well, I took that course when I was like a freshman. I would think that I think it would focus on sentience and who can even assess these items, because without that, I don't know what we're even talking about. That'd be the first thing. And then wrapping our heads around where we fit in that and understanding that we all have our own perspective. So starting with being able to kind of like apply, I guess, a sense of wearing the shoes of the other.
Mm-hmm. That's so that if you were the professor, that's how you would do it. That's what you would lead the 3 months.
So yeah.
Okay, well, see, my critique is, if you look at my PTR, I have a magazine. It's not quite a book, but it's technically a magazine. It is a book. But if I was the teacher of a course on morals, ethics, and virtues, I wouldn't offer any. See, I would just call it the book club. And, that's my critique of this app is our information packet transfers suck. But when I read a book to you, my information packet transfer goes way up in value. And so I'm just saying that if I was the teacher of a course, I would say, here's the reading list, everybody, 10 books, 1 book a week, and this is a 10-week course. Each week, at the end of the week, you have to have a book report, and we discuss the book. And that's the whole course, because otherwise you end up with a clubhouse room, which is what you just described, where the leader, aka the green bean person, tries to do this type of rationalization education as opposed to a reading list with book reports. And that's just my critique of the education system, of conversation in general. If you do meditation, you pretty much you tend to keep to yourself more. Like, you're not totally interested in doing Toastmasters every single day, limitlessly. Like, you put boundaries on what you're talking about, and you actually, read a table of contents, tell people what you told. If you've ever done public speaking, I'm just saying that, like, this app is, it's toxic because people here just basically have no guardrails, no boundaries. Like even Rabbi Caleb and these supposed religious certified leaders, to me, they're not doing what I just described, which is, here's a reading list, let's talk about it. They're coming here to talk about political issues, LGBTQ, CRT, BLM, DEI, LGBTQ. Like, okay, cool. But, I just did an interview with the news about my candidacy. I said that Republicans and Democrats are actually all just libertarians, but they're all divided on political opinions. And everybody loves liberty. And, the fact is that if you have to work.
Well, why use the term political? Like, what does political mean to you? Because I find that it's
political is all communication. That's the same thing as saying all communication is hypnosis. You can say all communication is political. Because technically, this is the craziest thing. When you run for Congress, I have women trying to spy on me, like through seductive manners. Like, let's go out on a date. Like, they're all gathering intelligence. They're all spies, not like in the literal way, but I'm just saying we're all information harvesters. That movie Dune, The Spice Mine, like, they're not mining spice, they're mining intelligence. And so I'm just saying, the books that I read, like if I read the Constitution today, every time you read it, you discover new things, like capitalizations of certain words. Like, they are in the Constitution, they are giving divine, framing to certain words, not just God, but all types of words have capitalizations in there. So they're putting this enlightenment, divine, spin on it, which is really just to try to point something out, to say, hey, look at this more closely. So anyways, I'm just saying this app uses you, and right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm recording this across, 15 phones. And then I am recording 4 other, Clubhouse rooms simultaneously across 30 different phones. Like, I am trying to commoditize people's communication. And unfortunately, because so much of it is so vulgar, profane, homicidal, suicidal, I get community guideline strikes on YouTube because it's hate speech. And there's a lot of black racists on this app. This app proves one thing. It proves that there are black extremists in this country. Fanatics. They're crazy. And if you go to that 40 acres on a mule, they are still sitting there talking about how they're going to break away from America and get their own land and start their own nation. They're extremists. They're revolutionary terrorists on this app. There are people that project violence nonstop on here. And Pepe is one of them. He constantly says, "Can I rape that person?" Like, it's like, is that how you communicate in the real world? Like, how you communicate here is how you communicate in the real world. It's the same fucking reality, isn't it?
Like, don't you think that, like, all this really gets down to is human comfort, discomfort, their peace with themselves, and discontent with, like, victimhood and or perceived victimhood? Like it's treacherous out there, man. And some people were born and raised geographically and socially in ways that you were not. And so they're programmed to be like this, and it's something that they really can't shake to some degree because they haven't reached that enlightenment phase.
They're not interested in the enlightenment. They're more interested in their politic. And that's why I say 99.9% of all the communication here is all political. But the funny thing is most people will never actually act on it. Like, having run for Congress now is the doing part, the action part. If you just study wisdom but don't do any action, it's totally pointless.
Why do you think that politics has anything to do with this enlightenment thing? Like, why are you confusing the two?
Haven't you read the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution? They deal directly with enlightenment.
The voice is funny to you, but not to other people. You know that, right?
The voice?
Like, the voice doesn't work.
What are you? Are you quoting the movie Dune? Like, use the voice? Is that what you're saying?
So the reason why I think you're completely full of shit is that I don't really understand any of this esoteric crap that you read, this Crowley, Alan Watts nonsense. And then you're like doing this like political troll thing. Like, what are you actually doing with your life that makes any fucking sense? I mean, is this all just like, hold on a second. Is this like a cope for like, hold on a second. Is this a cope for a sort of like non-starter, life event?
No, you don't understand Zen philosophy. It's the art of. It's basically.
I don't give a shit about Zen philosophy. I'm concerned with the results. Like.
Yeah, I know you're concerned, but again, I would just say it's your opinion, and life is opinion. That's okay. I'm entitled to my opinion.
You're wasting your time with this like Congress thing that isn't going to go anywhere. So it's like, what's the?
You're concerned about my time, and see, this is one of the most.
I'm wondering, like,
why you're not concerned about my time.
Like, what about you isn't a waste of time? That's
I see. I'm worthless. Is what you're saying. So I have no value. Okay, well, again, I'll just go back to saying that's your opinion.
Or you can say, everything I say is my opinion. I mean, that's
Hello?
Everything I say is my opinion. Right.
Right. Okay.
You don't need to point that out. Right.
Got it. Is any of this projection? That's all I want to know. Is any of this?
No, I have shit going on in my life. Actually. It isn't.
No, it's not projection.
I don't think you have much outside of Clubhouse.
It's not projection. It's just your opinion. Okay. Well, thank you very little. Thank you very little.
Do you have an answer for that? Like, what are you actually doing?
Oh, what are you asking again? Because I just heard.
Well, since you were interrogating Honey about
question?
Like how he imparts.
What was your question to the congressional
candidate? I kind of had
candidate?
a question for you.
Okay, what was your question? I couldn't hear it because I was too busy trying to answer your question. Go ahead.
I'm saying, do you have anything significant that you're doing, like in reality?
Yeah,
or you just waste your time because you have like hold on a second, because you have like a bunch of these like stupid like alt accounts. You spend tons of time making YouTube channels that no one watches.
Really?
I don't
People
understand.
are watching this conversation right now.
I think the point of like enlightenment is
N-O-W.
I know you're really annoying and stupid.
N-O-W.
Unlike Honey, I don't think you're smart at all. I don't know why. Yeah, this is a band limited thing. It's not as annoying as you think it is.
I think I heard them all now.
Right. This is a band limited thing, so we're not getting all the high frequencies.
What else don't you like about yourself? What else don't you like about yourself? Go ahead.
I mean, I feel kind of bad for you. I mean, you're just kind of a dipshit.
Oh, is this my roast now? Is this my barbecue? Can you pass me the coleslaw?
listening again, go to johnforcongress.com. That was Roy Voss's self-deprecating roast or roast of John Kitover. I hope you enjoyed it.
That was funny.
Okay, so now I think I understand your question.